episode 10 of our Crowdcreate Mastermind series, where we bring on thought leaders and experts to the front of the room to talk about the most asked questions in the industry. What's the future of esports and live events in 2021? Do sports betting companies actually make money? What's one of the fastest growing market segments in gaming? And what's the best way to get distribution for your gaming or gaming retail business? On this mastermind, we have experts, and they're going to answer all of these questions if you watch this gaming mastermind.
We have some returning mastermind thought leaders here. Dirk, would you like to kick it off and share your project, which you were a big fan of?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Hi, my name is Dirk. One of the co-founders of Uplandme, which is on a high level a blockchain metaverse that sits on top of the real world. So we got inspired originally from by Monopoly. And the way it works is that actually you can go and purchase properties of the real world. Right now we're live in San Francisco, New York, and Fresno. People always ask why Fresno, but there's certain reasons because of pricing. As we know, San Francisco and New York are not the cheapest places to live in. And then Uplandme is basically based on 3 pillars. We say play, earn, and connect. Play means we have a couple of game loops integrated, like very much like in this famous board game. You can collect multiple properties with same characteristics. You increase then actually a yield because we have an in-app currency, which is called Apex, which you earn. And when you complete a collection, you earn more of these nice little tokens. Then we have some other like treasure hunts, scavenger hunts with live events in the game. And now we are just introducing a property development. That means right now you only were able to purchase just a parcel. Now you were able to put like a house or some other kind of structures onto the property. And you can soon also add businesses to it. That means you will be able to run a business and sell, let's say, decorations or other things in game, virtual cars to other players. And run, or maybe a digital art gallery in a blockchain space, what's called non-fungible tokens. You will be able to sell those. And the third pillar which we have is connect. That means we will have virtual settings where people can meet in coffee shops and so on. What makes Uplandme so special? Of course, we're based on blockchain. That means somehow the future of gaming, what we strongly believe in is that you, instead of just extracting entertainment value out of a game, you will be able to extract also monetary value out of it. So right now, today, you can basically purchase our in-game token Apex with a credit card and on PayPal on the web, and also crypto. But also we are available on iOS and Android, one of the rare games in blockchain space who have that. But we also have a strategic partnership with Second Life, the grandfather of all metaverses. And here you are able, now we have a small beta test, but we'll soon be able for everyone. We will be able to sell all your digital assets to other players for fiat currency, or in normal terms, like to real money, for US dollars. And that's what is so exciting about the whole blockchain space. Instead of just extracting entertainment value, you extract also the monetary value. And right now, we're the largest blockchain game. We launched last year and have a very high monetization of the players because they really love playing the game, and a great community.
Thanks, Dirk. And I have to say, I mean, you have a lot of accolades, it being one of the top D apps out there and actually taking blockchain to the mainstream. And some people wouldn't even know that it was a blockchain crypto app. And yeah, congrats to you. What
yeah, absolutely. When we set out, exactly, we don't want to say that people have to deal with wallets and private keys and passphrases, right? The way we really built the app is really for the average user to onboard everyone. And we didn't get it started yet, right? We just probably 3-4 months we're going to ramp up marketing and really going after the mass market here.
That's awesome, Dirk. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Dirk? Dirk, how many users are you at right now on the game?
So if you compare to the regular game, we're not that large. So we have roughly, on our own internal numbers, 8,000 to 9,000 daily actives, a little bit less than 30,000 monthly active users. However, that makes us the largest blockchain game out there at the moment. And the monetization is completely different because people pay and it's not advertising based. And it's a completely different metrics than what you would see. Our ARPU is way, way higher than what you would see in normal games.
Very cool.
I love that Dirk's involved in Second Life. We go way back with Second Life, and that's to see it even mentioned these days is fabulous. Love it.
Well, Second Life is still going strong. Most of
Yeah.
people don't know that, right? Because Second
Right.
Life, I think it came out 2002 or 3 or something, and then it was quite hip. Late 09, 07. Lots of big brands coming in, but they are still having a big community and an economy running these days, right? It's very, very, so it's very successful. You could say that. And metaverses, anyways, are the big next thing, obviously.
It's fabulous. I started working with Linden Labs in 2003. They're a great group.
Yeah. We have a very close relationship to them as well. So strategically, it's very important for us.
Awesome.
So Dirk, this is Roderick. How are you? Nice to meet you. I have a question for you. Have you guys considered advertising and leveraging kind of the value exchange model that you see in mobile, where people who opt in to see advertising earn virtual currency in the game? The only difference is that your people would earn the token in your game. And the interesting component about value exchange advertising is that it actually has a ecosystem that gets funded by the advertisers because they're essentially paying for people's attention. Is that something you guys have considered?
Well, we looked into it, but at this moment, it's not on a short-term roadmap, right? Because we're a little bit, when you come from the blockchain space, a little bit have an interesting relationship to advertising, because we don't want really to gather data from our users and all these kind of things. So I would not say no forever, but at the moment, it's not a short-term plan.
Yeah, I was going to say it's just something to consider because, I think that's one of the interesting challenges with data and blockchain. But, when you think about the value exchange, someone is actually getting compensated for providing their data, as opposed to the centralized advertising model, which is you give the publisher keeps your data, they sell it, you get nothing with the exception of the utility of the actual application that they give you. But in this kind of paradigm with value exchange, someone's actually opting in and they're getting compensated by the advertiser, because now they're actually participating in the dollars that used to go directly to the publisher. Now the publisher shares it with the actual consumer. So just something to consider about. We can talk offline about it.
Absolutely. Let's talk offline, because I think that's probably one of the next business models coming up now. I don't know. Have you seen a big success where it's really going, strong these days, or is it just very early to say?
So I've worked in mobile apps at Tapjoy, and my SVP of product was one of the co-founders of AdColony, which was in the value exchange model. And originally, when ReadyUp was a direct consumer, we had a blockchain strategy that was similar to that. So I'd be happy to actually have a longer conversation with you, a lot more detail than what we get done in 3 minutes, but I think there's an opportunity for you.
Yeah, please. I would be interested in learning more about it, right? I'm saying it's not short term, because we just haven't got our heads around it, to be honest. But if you want to ping me, at d@upland.me, let's have another call offline here.
That sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks, Roderick. Gayle, we'd love to hear from you, because I know you are a news and media channel and have a very good high-level look on the gaming industry.
Yeah.
You to go next. And by the way, I am putting in links and bios to a lot of the speakers, so you can click around and see who's attending.
Okay. So I'm gonna put a timer so I don't not pay attention here because next 3 minutes, I know what 3 minutes is like on TV, so it goes very quick. But so yeah, I'm Gayle Dickie. I'm founder, CEO of Gamer World News. I launched back in 2018, late April, and to my surprise, we ended up on Fox Business within a week. But what we do is we produce premium video news for the esports, professional, competitive, and casual gamers around the world. So if you go to our website, you would see 13 different channels of news and information. We use Unreal Engine and the latest technology to give that look and texture that's kind of game friendly. We've appeared over 60 times, including today, talking about GameStop and its wild ride on Varney and Company. I think it's going to be a week of, as I call it, avarice and manipulation on GameStop, with social media and gaming kind of intersecting. It's pretty amazing. we're getting ready. We went out, not to make ad rev or anything, just to test the market all over the world. And we're now getting ready to turn on the distribution, the major broadcast cable, OTT players, big names that you know, as well as putting executives in place in countries like France and Brazil, which is just super hot gaming market. But the idea is to syndicate and license and white label our news globally. So it was never about a destination website for me. I'm a former TV syndicator, having sold domestic TV syndication for over 10 years. COVID really gave me a pause to kind of reevaluate the market and kind of expand around the world with eyes on the top 10 global markets. So probably the greatest differentiator for Gamer World News is we have a plethora of opportunity to collaborate with all these major countries around the world and deliver short form news stories. So I can deliver it in a half hour, an hour, and we're working starting in March to deliver 6 hours of content 3 to 4 days a week with a best of on the weekends. The major thing that I'm working on right now is we're getting to launch Gamer World Kids. So we've got 2 outstanding young 13, 14-year-olds. I just put out a big casting notice for 2 Spanish-speaking and hopefully Portuguese-speaking kids. Again, we'll deliver that as probably another hour, maybe move to a couple hours. The focus on that would be for Fortnite and Roblox and Minecraft and some indie games, etc. And it really made sense to me to really go out with a focus on the kids. The free-to-play market took over about 90 billion this past year, and it's going to grow to 100 billion this year. So there's always more demand for content. What I'm probably more excited about than anything is the growth. The growth was this year in game sales 39%, 67% watched more news, 70% spent more time on their phone and in scouring news coverage. And there were 80% higher traffic on media sites. So I think with our focus on, the kids and the general 13 channels and news, as well as doing some partnering, I've been looking for some really positive role model games to get involved in. I think I found one. The market's really lucrative for, as you probably all know, for kid games. It's about, I think, $1.3 billion. So, making the games available to the masses via mobile is really a top priority for me. And I guess if I had to mention one thing that is kind of close to me is our girls of the game, because that player audience is at fever pitch, and guys don't really notice it, but we are more of the audience than the males. So it's about 55-45. And we're going to do some podcasts and shows and definitely dedicate a good part of our half hour of the 6 hours to girls of the game. In terms of what the community can help with, I'm really interested in moving forward with Germany. If anybody has really good contacts there, we've been prioritizing countries for Gamer World News. And so we look for top platforms and broadcast cable, OTT providers, to license our news for that market. I always look at the top 10 to see what's going on. As much as I'm American and I live here, our business really focuses this kind of, inside out. Because if you look at China and South Korea, I was lucky enough to go to Dubai and Italy and Japan just before COVID a year and a half ago. And just to see the growth in games. I mean, people say, oh, it's getting bigger. It's going to keep getting bigger. We're looking at $180 billion this year. I think it'll be more just because of COVID and the restrictions and, people playing at home and certainly playing on their phones. The console market's crazy. I think it's just exploding. And for us as a company, it's an exciting time to be part of that news and media and be able to do touch points on every part of the game, because esports professional is one thing to report on all the games, and I call it the Big 10, but then the competitive and casual market is really where it's happening. I mean, that's just, there's so much news every day and you learn so much every day that it's for someone like me, the information goes in and out, and having the crew and the posts that I do. It's a lot of information to process and then prioritizing, but we're looking forward to having a good second, third, fourth quarter and turning on the revenue stream. So that's where we are.
Thanks, Gayle. Does anyone have any comments or know anybody in Germany? Dirk?
I have a
Gayle,
question.
Oh,
Go ahead, Dirk.
Okay.
so probably heard I can't hide my accent.
I heard you, yeah.
Anyway, so I'm German, so I can help you if you want to reach out to me. I have a couple of contacts to media and other places in Germany. Just ping me.
That'd be great. My husband's fluent, by the way, so that's the
Okay.
beauty of Germany. I don't have to worry. I can just go over there and be quiet, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay,
live
great.
here on the West Coast, the U.S. West Coast, but there's still lots of contacts there. So happy to
Yes,
help.
I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay,
Thanks,
great.
Dirk. I'll reach out.
Hey, Gayle, we can help you out too. One of our investors is Leeds, which is the legacy of Adi Dassler. So the kind of like the family office of the Adidas family. So
Oh,
we're based in Germany. So, and you and I know each other. So
yeah.
feel free to, we'll catch up later.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks so much.
I have a question for you, Gayle. We talked about
Yeah,
everything
also-
that's
sorry, go ahead, Robert.
that everything's up so much, and we're in the market, so everything's up there, and I'm in all of the gaming space. What's not doing as well relatively, or what's not doing as well as you would have expected it to be doing?
Well, certainly events, and in the esports, for the teams and stuff. I mean, I think we all realize that the esports investment is really about becoming a brand, like 100 Thieves and Optic and what they do. I think it's also going to be difficult. I look at companies that really depend on getting in a group together. That's been very difficult. I don't think that's going to change for a while. I think we're going to see that throughout this year and then maybe into 2022. I think it's hurt the esports part of the business more than anything else. Competitive casual gaming, Twitch, YouTube, advertising, they had to go there. I mean, that's where the eyeballs are. You look at the audience, it's just staggering. So I think that's probably, in my opinion, that's where it got hurt the most, is in the big team brands, and being able to go to an event, or, they have to look at getting to that point where, you want to wear someone's jersey, and I think we're a good 4 to 5 years away. I'll still stand by my story that the esports will be in the Olympics. I predicted it, in 2017, because where else are you going to get the biggest media in the world and the biggest sponsors and the biggest eyeballs in the world than to put esports in the Olympic Games?
Thanks, Gayle. That's actually a good segue to Milo, who runs an esports organization out of Vegas, which is the capital of events. I would love to hear your insights here.
It's first off, it's brutal. The whole reason why 8-Bit became a professional esports organization was because we had to pivot out of events because of COVID. And the unfortunate but fortunate side of it, unfortunate being that we had to pivot, and the fortunate side being that we found success in the pivot, was that the day the stay-at-home orders really came to Vegas was also the same weekend my biggest event, or my flagship event, was supposed to happen. So that was a gut punch 3 days before. But yeah, so yeah, hi, my name is Milo Ocampo. I'm the founder and CEO of 8-Bit Esports. I've been in the esports industry since 2010, running tournaments since I was 10 years old, essentially. And yeah, we pivoted into becoming a professional esports team because I've played such a big role in building out the whole collegiate infrastructure here in North America, because I was one of the, or UNLV was one of the first schools in the Ivy Law program that Riot put out in 2012. I was one of the first people part of TESPA when they first, was acquired by Blizzard in 2013, 2014. And through my experiences like at UNLV and working with both Riot and Blizzard, I was able to influence how collegiate organizations were built, managed, and structured throughout the country. And throughout that journey, I was also fortunate enough to work for like social media and Team Liquid, and find myself in 2018 having held every major position within esports, both social media director, broadcast producer, professional player, player manager, all the way down to janitor, cleaning up after my own events. And yeah, with the success that we've had as like a collegiate team, I wanted to really build out a pipeline from high school to collegiate, collegiate to professional. And that was what the big event was. I wanted to be the NCAA of esports, or at least create an entity like that. And my MVP was activating all of the 44 local Vegas high schools, which I did successfully. And the big event was supposed to be the grand finals. And that, so I guess with COVID, we focused more on the professional. We picked up a Rocket League team that ended up competing in RLCS 2 months after we picked them up. And since COVID still exists and we can't really run events right now, we're now shifting full focus into content production and YouTube, because I feel like Twitch is really hard to break into, but the educational side and the business resources that are available to esports leaders or collegiate officers within esports organizations is really missing. And I just wanted to provide the resources I wish I had throughout the 8 years in collegiate that I had.
It's awesome, Milo. So what do you see happening in 2021 and 2022 with these events coming back? And is it a V-shaped recovery on things happening?
It's iffy. Vegas never really stopped running esports events. There are 2 venues, Esports Arena and Press Start Gaming, that still run very, very limited capacity and socially distant events. But everyone's really itching, especially the fighting games community, to get back in person. And there is a projection of that V-shaped recovery. Like once everyone feels like it's safe, the second someone says, let's run a fighting games major, that's going to be like 20, 25,000 people immediately. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Is there anything we can help you with, Milo?
Just, views, impressions, sponsor referrals is really where we're at right now.
That's awesome.
I might be able to help you with some sponsor referrals for sure. So we should connect.
Awesome. Yes,
Okay.
and I really like that pink bean plush you have behind you.
Oh, thank you. You know what it is, right?
Yeah, Mabel's Story has been my addiction since I was in 7th grade. So
Yeah.
14, 15 years now.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I went to an event and it was just, my mouth was open the whole time. I was just couldn't believe what I was seeing. So
Yeah.
it was like 3 years ago. Yeah.
That's
Let me
awesome.
ask a question.
Yeah.
I have a question for Milo. What is your business model? I mean, how do you make money in what you do? Is it in sponsorships, or is it team winnings, or doesn't that mostly go to the team players?
Yeah, so what I recently learned and was fortunate enough to actually be doing is that esports teams actually don't make that much money. And which I think is the answer you were looking for. So yeah, the team earnings and the sponsorships and the ad revenue that comes from the content that we create all goes to the team. But companies like, or teams like Team Rogue, which is my favorite example because they're also from Vegas, they have a parent company that's called Rec Global that actually does what I've been doing in Vegas, and that's essentially esports consulting, business management, and gaming marketing, essentially. And the reason why I've been able to fund this team to where it was at was because I've actually built a few of the arenas here in Vegas, and I've played a major hand in consulting. And I just finished a project a few months ago that was halted because of COVID. And that's how I've been funding the team. And that's essentially the business model. It's just, I'm a consultant, here's my experience. This team is the culmination of all of my experience building something from the ground up. And then
what's going to happen with the HyperX Arena in Las Vegas? Is that going to?
It's a very difficult thing to talk about. There's a lot of potential, but because, and this is just personal experience with dealing with them, the staff, the management, and I guess the programming can't keep changing every 3 months because it makes it hard for long-term partnerships. So yeah, it has a lot of potential, but it really needs to find its footing. And hopefully COVID has given the arena enough time to actually look at their business strategy in a long, like 3 to 5 year lens.
Awesome. Thanks, Milo.
Thank you.
You should meet Rick Starr. You both have the same vision for, amateur gamers. And Rick, love for you to go next and introduce what we're working on at 5.
One quick question back to Milo. Milo, what's your game? Give me your top 2 games you play.
TFT, I guess.
Okay.
I became really good at that, and people have been asking me now for coaching and to go on panels to coach amateurs. But before that, it was I'm a professional Smash player.
Oh, you are?
Ultimate. Yeah.
Careful, Jeff. You have a competitor here.
The professional word. I'll back off in the corner. Yeah, Rick Starr.
Yeah. Jeff, thanks to you and Ivan for putting this together. I love entering a room thinking that I am going to not only learn some stuff, but I am always the least educated one in the room, and this panel is proving that true. So I really appreciate everybody on here. You guys are all for doing this. But yeah, so I've been gaming, like I'm an original gamer, like Gen 1 console, Intellivision, Coleco, Atari, like that's when I grew up. So I grew up with video games in the house, and I feel very lucky to have been able to have access to all of that stuff growing up. A lot of people weren't able to purchase those consoles, weren't able to have games or titles against any of that stuff. And, we always in my house had the latest gaming and everything. And it was, it was just a great way to grow up. So I grew up in gaming and loved it throughout college and after college. And then I met my wife, and she wasn't a gamer. And I tried to use some gateway games to try and get her involved into gaming, but she just wasn't having it. So now certainly with Milo, the totally into Nintendo Switch, they love it. It's so much fun for them. And they, I get to play Mario Kart and kick my 6-year-old daughter's booty, and it's loads of fun. And I just, there are great lessons to be learned in having your dad kick you in the butt. And since, we are in a world and an age when it's hard to compete with your kids in any way, I think gaming is one way that we can all connect, and it's a lot of fun for me to be able to play with my kids and to connect with them in that manner. And it's just a beautiful thing. It turns me a bit in as much as, obviously COVID is a horrible situation for everybody. It's just, this year has been mildly difficult. It's probably the calmest way to put it. It's been brutal on everybody in a lot of businesses. Gaming not so much, but gaming in person and in live events, absolutely. And I think the challenge is going to be in rebuilding this live audience.
Rick, I think
right?
your
like
reception is cutting.
Getting people back out. There you go. Gaming in public, going to events, doing, building that consumer confidence. Yeah, is that better? Can you hear me?
Yep. Maybe Rick, if you can share about your platform. So who are you? What are you working on? What are you most excited about, and how can we help you?
Yeah, sure. So we are working on everything that everybody's been alluding to, and that's getting people back in person. And we have aligned ourselves with about 300 movie theaters to bring gaming back to local once the community is ready to go back out and game locally. We are building out amateur gaming from 8 to any age, essentially, but starting at 8 years old, against titles like Smash Brothers or against titles like Rocket League, and then all the way up through, and including Call of Duty and everything that we can align ourselves with, we are going to bring into movie theaters for competitive leagues. We have a technical solution that is consumable and easy to swallow and not, break the budget for movie theaters, where they can create amazing experiences, and to build that community, build it up locally and get to scale in a fast way, and utilizing, what's amazing infrastructure in movie theaters is a great way to do it. The venues are great. it's a lot of fun to see, get your favorite games on screen. It's a lot of fun to watch the gaming play out on screen. And it's, we had a lot of traction pre-COVID. We're starting to gain traction again, towards the tail end of what's going on. And it's just really exciting to be able to participate in the amateur side in a major way.
Awesome. Rick, is there anything that we can do to help you once post-COVID in these movie theaters and get Milo in there playing Smash on the big screen?
No, Jeff, I appreciate that. I'm really here to support and see what I can do to help everyone else, because I've heard this through most of the organizations in esports. And, the saying goes that a rising tide raises all ships. And I think we all understand how critical it is to work together in this industry to bring it to where we all know it should be. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm just here to support and help out where I can. And if I can bring attention to your organization, if I can support you in any way, that's what I'm here to do, especially once we roll out. We expect that, post-COVID sometime, once herd immunity hits and we are, towards the tail end of summer and into late fall and early winter of next year, we'll be active in almost 1,000 locations. And that's across the US and parts of Mexico and Canada and some places in the islands. So, we're going to have quite a bit of reach to help everybody get their message out. And we're here to do it. We want to spread messages of hope and inclusion and equality and fun and, learning and all sorts of great things that we want to bring to gaming. And so, that's what we're here to do. And we're here to help.
Rick, can I ask a question? Are you affiliated with Super League Gaming?
That was my question.
Yeah, no, we are not. Actually, we reached out. So when I started this, it was one of the first companies I reached out to, because they were doing they were saying they were going to do what we had wanted to do.
Right.
And I said, oh, perfect. We'll just partner with them and we'll go down the road. And it was not easy to get those conversations going. And then it was even more difficult to get it to go anywhere once we did start those conversations. And part of the reason was one of their main investors is a movie theater company. And I think they were trying to be a little proprietary about how they organized and that makes it very difficult. And that's, that doesn't help the industry. It helps that exhibitor. And, we're going at it from a totally different angle of trying to are amazing. And now with, the studio relationships being fractured, they're totally accessible, right? There's so many empty screens and vacant screens, and there will continue to be. And, as the model of the duration between when a film comes out and goes to video gets shorter, those screens are going to turn over faster, and there's going to be a lot more capacity in and around theaters. And the venues are just perfect for this. Absolutely perfect for it.
Right. I always thought it was a short window. I never understood why they went public. I just couldn't understand it, because it just seemed like it went up and then it just crashed and burned. I think what you're doing in terms of, going out and obviously it makes so much sense to go out to the junior highs and the high schools and get them involved and inclusive and get them out and playing. That's the bang for the buck. The other way that they did it, I don't know. I just shook my head, to be honest. I don't know what's going to happen to them, but I like what you're doing from an individual, vertical, and partnering with the high schools around America, and I'm telling you, the junior high schools are where it's at. That's where you go. It's like the Steve Jobs, philosophy is get them while they're young. You get them while they're young, and then you have a fan for life. So yeah,
absolutely. There's so much opportunity out there, but there's so many things that kids can get involved in, and gaming's not one of them. And that's sad, right? Like, you can go and play baseball or soccer, you can go and do gymnastics, you can do all sorts of things as a kid, but you can't go anywhere and game. That's silly. Like, it's just totally silly.
Right.
So I think, for me, it's really about giving all those kids an opportunity. It's about allowing these kids to connect with their parents. It's about training and coaching and bringing up good gamers with good habits and good socialization skills. And there's just so much that goes into our mentality. And we look at a company like Play Versus, and I say, no, like, we're actually a feeder system for them. All we want to do is support them and see them succeed. Like, it's so important for the whole industry that Play Versus is successful. And, we're out there to support. And that's what, That's,
Oh.
I guess my main message is that we're really here to build the industry and to help support in any way we can.
Yeah. Thanks, Rick. In the world of esports, Patrick, would love for you to share some insights on what you see on your side.
Yeah, well, thanks. And I want to say that, out of, all the panels that I've done, this one is the most diverse. I mean, usually I'm on with a bunch of merchandise companies or venture capital panels, and this is definitely, a little bit of everything, right? So, but what's been great is that, especially when it comes to, well, two things, both Milo and Gayle talking about the loss of events is, I mean, I think it rings, sort of shows that rings true sort of globally, right? And then Rick was the, tides raise all, or tides raise all ships. I use that like probably 3 times a day, man. So it's funny that you use that too. I noticed. But yeah, my name is Patrick Mahoney. I'm from We Are Nations. We started as a essentially just a merchandising company in esports. So I my entire career I've been in music merchandising and lifestyle merchandising, so other entertainment properties or action sports and things like that. And we were attracted to esports because it sort of ticked all the same boxes that we were already doing. I remember going to my first event was at ESL Cologne 5 years ago, and walked in, wasn't sure what to expect. When I walked in, one of the first things we noticed was, well, 2 things. One is the crowd itself, maybe a little bit more male than some of our Fall Out Boy or Panic at the Disco concerts, but kind of that same subset of kids, and that was a big deal. That was a big eye-opening thing. And the other thing too was not coming from gaming, but being in an arena with 15,000 kids that knew in CS:GO what was happening. Like, I think I figured it out by now, the bomb or whatever. But having 15,000 kids all cheer at the same time was also very powerful. So we just saw a lot of parallels with music. So we jumped into esports merchandise, and for us, it's been not about reinventing the wheel. It's been about putting a different tread on that tire. So there's a lot of best practices in merchandising that we've kept. The way we do production, the way we do distribution, the way we sort of approach the global markets, because this is certainly. Unlike music, where the vast majority of our business would be the U.S. or Europe. I mean, this is, our second subsidiary was in Latin America. So that just sort of speaks to the demand of esports around the world. So yeah, I mean, in the 4 years that we've been around, we've opened up. We're active in the U.S. We're active in Europe. Like I said, Latin America. We're looking at Oceania next. Our role is I sort of compare us more to, say, a 47 or a New Era, where I don't necessarily need New Nations to be a brand in itself, but I want it to be associated. Like, you never buy a New Era hat because it says New Era, you buy it because it says the Yankees or something, right? So I want people to see We Are Nations as, oh, our partner, Team A with We Are Nations. That's a good product. Clients that we work with now are Cloud9, Complexity, Immortals, all the LA teams, mostly LA teams in Mexico, Ninjas of Majamas, the list is pretty long. Not all under license. We find ourselves in a situation where if a team like Cloud9, for example, works with Puma, we're sort of like an honest broker where we'll buy product for Puma and help them with their distribution network, and we find that we're hitting different channels than Puma normally does. Again, it's not reinventing the wheel. This is sort of how merchandise works, especially in the sports world anyways. So, we're just finding our place in esports, and also influencers. To me, we are focused mostly on esports, but the influencers, that community around esports with influencers is important. Well, someone made the comment that, I think it was Gayle, and I think she said it'll take 4 or 5 years for everyone to be wearing their team's jersey. I totally agree. This is definitely a long play for us. I was born in Boston. I hate the Yankees. I hate every single New York sports team. I'm like genetically dispositioned to the Red Sox. That doesn't exist. That's a sports thing though. And you can pretty much say that in a lot of cities. But that's going to take time, right? It'll take time in esports. We'll see what happens with geolocated teams and franchise and things like that. But I think it's just a long play. So the second half of our business was sort of an attempt to sort of help where we could in growing the ecosystem. We did start a venture fund last year called Nations Ventures, and we're placing sort of early revenue or pre-revenue bets in companies that we think could help us grow our business ultimately on the merchandise side. But recently, playing in that space, we found that there's a lot of great people out there with sort of similar ideas. And more often than not, we're seeing two companies that we keep saying to ourselves, man, it'd be great if A and B came together and we were to help them become C and do a raise on that. So we're seeing a lot of that sort of brokering and M&A work coming our way as well. So that's basically us in a nutshell, a merchandise company that saw an opportunity to help grow our ecosystem.
Very nice. Thanks, Patrick.
Patrick, can I ask you a question? What do you think is your biggest differentiator in terms of being a merchandise, company per se? In other words, why would I come to you? I'm going to launch Gamer World Kids, right? Why would I come to you to help us launch that with merch?
Couple reasons. Depends on what you need, right? I mean, for us, we're a support organization. As I said before, we're not trying to create We Are Nations as a brand. It's so our approach is all white label. It's all sort of bespoke or custom. If you need, depending on what you need, where you need it, we can put together the sort of deal that sort of ticks all the boxes that you need without sort of making We Are Nations part of the equation. Just our private label and white label approach.
Okay. Great.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that. And I know we want to end on the hour and be respectful of everyone's time. So Roderick, would you like to go next?
Sure. Thanks for having me. So hi, everyone. Roderick Alemania. I'm the co-founder and CEO of ReadyUp. And ReadyUp is a SaaS platform. We're a B2B company. And what we do is activate communities to be retail distribution. So let me first start off by just giving everyone kind of context. When you look at entertainment, and I'm just not talking about video games, but entertainment in general, it's really gone from being product-driven transactions to games as a service. And really how that manifests itself to the consumer is that these services are presented as events. Now, our go-to-market is definitely video games, but when I start going into the platform, you'll see that this is definitely scalable to other forms of entertainment, movies, music, and sports. But when you look at kind of the gaming industry, events really have kind of defined the modern gaming experience. And when I say events, I really, ReadyUp really kind of defines events broadly and metaphorically. An event could be anything from, Travis Scott appearing in Fortnite, or it could be a bunch of streamers streaming the launch of a new product like Ubisoft did with Hyperscape. It could be an ESL competition, whether it's pro or amateur, or it could be season 1 of the latest Call of Duty. Those are all content events, but what they also are, they're now retail point of sales. And you look at the purpose of those events, it's to drive transaction. Now, here's what the problem is. And I think, we talked about events, and I think Gayle mentioned it in part of hers was, events are hard to find. And the event business is struggling. Events are hard to find. There's so many different entertainment events. And I'm just not talking about gaming, but I'm talking about in general. And when you look at this new paradigm of events being the retail point of sale, in the old kind of game world, when it was a product has a defined retail distribution channel. It's called Best Buy, it's called Walmart, it's called GameStop, it's called Amazon. When you look at events, they don't really have a retail distribution channel. It's done on a very ad hoc basis. And when you talk to event holders, whether it be a publisher, a tournament organizer like ESL, anyone putting on an event, it's a very manually done process. What we think the opportunity for retail distribution is the communities that actually consume this event, they are the retail distribution. Let me give you an example. When ESL does an event like Intel Extreme Masters, that event has several constituents. It has ESL, it has Intel. It's a CSGO event. CSGO has 20 million people across the CSGO community. It has professional teams that participate, like Team Liquid, who has a massive community that they've built. It has sponsors like Mountain Dew, who by definition has built a massive audience through its different participations in esports. When you look at Mountain Dew's socials, I believe it's close to 10 million people that they have built in the community. Now, the traditional way of promoting an event is someone like ESL will take their owned and operated media and promote it, and then they might buy some advertising. But when you think about the opportunity, each one of those constituents has community. That community, by definition, should be retail distribution. So that's exactly what ReadyUp has built. We've built a SaaS platform that activates communities as retail distribution. And it benefits the gaming ecosystem in two ways, both esports and traditional game publishers. Increased distribution. If you're selling something, you need distribution. So anytime you increase distribution, you're going to increase revenues. Conversely, the communities that consume this content, they don't view these events as you're trying to sell me a can of Coke or a can of Mountain Dew. This is content that they want to consume, that they actually want to spend. So let's start leveraging them as retail distribution and rightfully compensate them as retail distribution. So for the community, their benefit is we're not cannibalizing their advertising or their sponsorship revenue. We're now activating them as retail distribution. And the event holders should compensate them just as they compensate a Best Buy or a Walmart or an Amazon whenever something gets sold, except for it's done whenever a transaction occurs. And you can use the model of affiliate marketing as the way to transact this. So in a nutshell, what ReadyUp is doing is we are transforming communities as retail distribution. Partner of ours include guys like ESL Gaming, who we're about to launch with, EGF, Collegiate Star League. We have deals with NACE, a lot of the tournament platforms, one called Cyber Athlete, which does the Valorant tournaments in all Southeast Asia colleges. And so at the end of the day, anyone who has content needs distribution, and we're exactly that. We are a content distribution platform. And the best part is it's all done through widgets. So literally it's a function of publishing a widget and the platform takes care of the rest. The other thing that
Roderick, so how can we help you, or what are you looking for? The big growth in 2021, 2022, is it more partnerships or?
Yeah. For us, the big growth is partnerships. We've got great partnerships with the games industry. I've been in the games industry since 2001. I was at IGN and done a lot of stuff on the game space. So, we're definitely always interested in partnerships. And then we'll also be raising a price round in the next 2 quarters. So those are the 2 areas.
Does anyone have any comments or questions, Roderick?
Yeah, how big a round are you looking to do when you say a price round?
Probably something along the lines of a typical Series A. So, 4 to 6 plus. So
okay. Robert, coming from the investment world, we'd love for you to share insights on what it's like on the capital side, pouring into these projects.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Roderick.
So I'm a long-time investment banker. I spent 25 years on Wall Street as a managing director doing gambling business around the world, and then became a developer. I was the founding president of the Bahama Resort in the Bahamas, a $3 billion project, and recently put together the first integrated resort in Europe, which is in Cyprus, the Republic of Cyprus. Set up this consulting / investment banking shop that I have now, Spectrum Gaming Capital, about 7 years ago. And where we really work is at the intersection of gambling and sports and digital and now esports. So we've been studying the esports space for about, I'd say, a year and a half now, really focused on the public companies. If you go to our website, you'll see a tracker there in our analytics section of it's tracking all the public companies. We stay in touch with them, trying to figure out which one of them really makes sense, which has the right business model. The most exciting thing in the gambling business, is the convergence with entertainment and media and sports, which is occurring over the last couple of years. And we think the next big thing is the esports area. Problem in esports is everyone loses money in esports. The only people who make money are the, like in sports in general, it's the service providers that make money, or the brand owners make money, but the other businesses tend to lose money. Sports betting, for example, makes money when you pair it up with internet gaming. So DraftKings doesn't make any money really on sports betting. They make money by driving sports bettors to their iGaming websites and the like. I don't think that's a permanent condition, but given the competitiveness in the area, it's going to be there for quite some time. So the real gambling business makes a lot of money, and esports betting is an area that we find particularly interesting. And it's not an area that's making money yet, but we're very focused on that area and working with some people in that area who have some innovative approaches and helping them. Generally speaking, what we do is we are strategic advisors, consulting advisors, and capital raisers, M&A advisors for these various areas. But generally, because we're a small boutique, there are smaller deals, meaning 10 million up to maybe 150 million. And because we only deal with institutional investors, so that's why there's a minimum of kind of 10 million for us for our relationships. And we do complicated things, so like expert witness work and valuations and things like that, especially when they cross between these businesses.
Very cool. Any questions or comments for Robert? Jamison.
Hey, I had a question for Robert real quick. So Robert, what, now that you guys you all are involved in esports, what investments have you put money into that, or where are you placing money? Like, where's your biggest interest in esports, and where are you looking to place more?
Well, I'll tell you, I liked Allied Esports before. When they became troubled. I liked them not so much for their esports business, but because World Poker Tour, which I thought was a fantastic media asset. You may have seen they just sold that for $80 million, which was significantly more than the whole company was worth a few months ago. And they're saying that they're going to auction off their esports business. So we'll take a look at that on behalf of some of our other clients. I don't know what's there. I mean, their claim to fame is, and we had talked about this before with one of the other people. They do events at the HyperX Arena and a couple of other places around the world. And they were building these out in shopping malls, but the world has changed a bit, and I don't know if the large venues really make sense or will make financial sense for a while. The smaller venues seem to make sense. I know with Helix Esports is one that is in the process of getting sold to Esports Entertainment Group. That has a discrete model that looks interesting because they're relatively low cost ventures, and they can make money right away, where these bigger multi-million-dollar facilities are just hard to justify. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, so anything that can expand faster with a low cap model.
Yeah, exactly. And the other very interesting, the two public companies that I find the most interesting are Enthusiast Games, which has now taken the team model and paired it up with an advertising model, media model, and Esports Entertainment Group, which is kind of bridging between sports betting, iGaming, and esports and competitions, and trying to blend it all into one big ecosystem. So they're both interesting companies. Their stocks have run recently. And again, if you ever want to look at valuations of esports stocks, you can see on our website on the analytics tab. There's a lot of information there if anyone's interested in the finance side of the business.
Awesome. Thanks, Robert. And I would love to go to Jamison. You know a thing or two about casino gambling, and you're a thought leader, and we'd love to hear from you.
Sure, yeah. So I've operated at the intersection of games and gambling for a long time. We've done installation games back long before we had iPhones. I've done electronic bingo around the world. I've done all kinds of random such and sundry in the online casino world. Really at the intersection of video games and online casino. Right now, I'm the SVP of Games and Marketing at BSpot. We're based out of Los Angeles and Oregon. We're a unique licensed online real money gambling operator in the US, live in 22 states. Unique because we're powered by horse racing, which gives us a state portfolio pretty expansive across the US, because horse racing has a very unique legal status in terms of the governing law and regulations in the US and in other countries around the world as well. We've had a heck of a run. There's always some adventures when you are the first in market. It is both a blessing and a challenge. you know, you're the tip of the spear. So there's a lot of education that you have to push for. There's a lot of challenges you have to survive, but we've proven pretty capable of doing that. And this year has been, you know, wild. We had to move our entire staff remote. We had to handle moving our entire regulated customer service and player support teams remote and handle all of the regulatory concerns in doing so. But we did so and have been expanding rapidly this year. Being, you know, an online operator, the reality was we just moved our offices. We have ultimately some partnerships that will take us into the retail world, but those were obviously somewhat sidelined over the past 12 months. Things slowed down on the retail side, and we focused extensively on our online business and expanding both our player base and the games that we offer, the type of content that we offer. The things that we're doing now, it's really for us just an exciting time. We're ramping up our marketing significantly. We're acquiring players. So the things that we're looking for, hey, new fun ways to acquire players, new games to offer and publish across our network in the US. We have all kinds of partnerships, many that I can't announce right now, but there's a lot of fun stuff coming. I'm really excited about the intersection of the companies coming into the market, the changes in regulation in the real money gambling world in the US that have been really pushed by our cousins like John and sports betting world. While those regulations don't directly impact our business, what they do is they excite a heck of a lot of people, and they bring in some major players whose excitement level is driven by fantasy, driven by sports betting, and that just brings them into our world. And it's the explosion of sports betting has created a huge number of opportunities for us and interesting conversations for us to grow the business and to expand, even though it doesn't directly pertain to us. It certainly brings people into our orbit. And it's been a really, really heady and exciting time. To some degree, it's the challenge is to focus and pick the best opportunities and to keep yourselves running on a track and not get distracted by the latest bright, shiny opportunity. That's pretty much what we're up to. We're in growth mode. So if people have games, have content we can publish, have new exciting ways for us to go after players in the US market, happy to discuss.
Jamison, really important question. Chiefs or Buccaneers?
I am not going to make that statement while John English is on the line.
Okay. All right. I have some game stuff to definitely talk to you about.
Some game stuff, sure, but
okay.
I know my vertical.
Okay.
John English, would love for you to go next.
Okay, well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate that. Jamison, very nice of you. And Gayle, never bet against Brady. It's a tough one.
I don't plan on it.
Even with a different jersey on, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a couple of things I'd like to do, you know, over time. It might take a little bit of time, but I'd like to convert Patrick to a Yankees fan. I didn't realize the Red Sox even existed until a few years ago. So, you know, I didn't know any other team but the Yankees. But I was hoping for my Bills. I was hoping for the Buffalo Bills. We had a nice run, but going back to the 90s, it looks like we're right back to the starting line again. So we'll see what happens there. But anyway, going to our subject here, I'm John English. I'm a partner with Global Market Advisors. I head up their sports and technology division, but I also wear two hats. I'm also an operator of sports books and have been for many, many years, and launching a new sports book here in Nevada. We have 32 locations that we're going into here across the US now. We're being licensed in multiple different jurisdictions as we speak. But sports betting is our lives, and from every type of range. We had the largest chain of sports books here in the US, which was Nevada up until 2018. Independent sports books, I should say. And we were the first ones to develop mobile wagering and get it into the Apple Store. Very first betting app in the Apple Store, which was tougher than getting it through most regulatory agencies, I can tell you that. We're also the first ones to come out with kiosk wagering. So we've kind of automated our betting stuff. But for me, what's exciting is obviously what everybody's talking about. Esports is obviously we're in the countries where allowable and in jurisdictions where allowable. We're taking bets on all types of esports. We do have a Twitch integration so people can actually watch and bet at the same time. But reality for me is what's exciting is the expansion of sports betting across the United States. So, we work both to, assist our clients in sports betting, help them understand the regs and the rules and what they can expect in terms of pro forma and revenues from each different jurisdiction. That's the consulting side of the business. We work with a lot of big companies, a lot of people coming from out of the country, coming into America right now because of we call it the gold rush because of PASPA, which is Professional Amateur Sports Protection Act, being overturned in 2018. So for us, that caused a fairly large boom. I go way back. I've been doing this since 1983, and we started as a small little bookie joints. We do both land-based operations and we do online. And I'm most excited about our online operations because going back to, I believe that's what Robert said, which he's always spot on with what he's thinking, is that, it's really, it's tough. Sports margins are thin. And once you add advertising, you add marketing, you add your customer acquisition, you put everything in there and, all the feeds and all the stuff that comes with operating a sports operation, and not to mention the human resources involved. Online gaming is something that has become a big part of our offering. So we're allowed in certain jurisdictions. We offer both a online presence with all types of games. We're very excited about live dealer. We've seen a huge jump in live dealer where people are playing cards against the live dealer. So we've seen a lot of movement there. Sports betting, obviously, we took a big hit last year. Coming out of 2019 was probably our best year. It was fabulous for us. Heading into 2020, who would have thunk, but it happened. And we were now betting on Korean baseball, Taiwanese baseball, and things like water polo and table tennis. So, we had to make a shift in our directions, but we made it through it. And, now we're back to sports and things are going pretty well. We're seeing a lot of the customers jump right back in. There was a lot of pent up demand that we see that was in the sports betting industry that we're glad that, we were able to keep things moving along. Because of online gaming, we're able to do that. So that, we're very thankful for that. In terms of esports, we're excited about that. The major tournaments and leagues and things that are out there. So we also have, as mentioned, we have a live feed on our site. And we're opening new sports books here in Nevada. We have, I think, 27 already under construction that we're doing here now, and then we have another 4 in various parts of the U.S. that are going, and we're trying to get licensed in as many places as we can, as quickly as we can, and of course, government relations are the most important part of that, keeping up with the regs, keeping up with the regulators, keeping up with the RFPs, finding the right partners. Some states require you to be partnered with a casino or to have a skin. So those are all challenges that we face every day. It's about expansion. Currently, we're in multiple countries. We operate in Poland, Europe, Romania, UK, and as of late, Africa. Mexico's turned out to be a large market for us as well. And the Holy Grail is once we could get across the United States. So it's a little bit about us, what we're doing, and what excites us. So
Thanks, John.
yeah.
What can we help you with in terms of 2021? And
we're looking for a couple of different things. Of course, you know, we're working on some of the things that others are working on as well. So any help with media relationships and things along those lines are very helpful to us. You know, that's something that's really good. Obviously, if anybody's got good content that they want, we have a large distribution network, which is good. And, you know, in terms of really what we're looking for is the right media partner that fits sports betting. We're you know, we recently brought on a group that has 6,000 affiliate locations that we were able to, it's large bar networks across the United States and other places, to be able to sign up and register and be able to get people involved in our as our customers. So,
Wow, John.
got any input on that? Give it up.
I got some input on that, John, and I'll maybe see you in a couple of weeks in Las Vegas.
It sounds like you do, Gayle. So I look forward to that.
Okay.
Let me know when you're headed this way, and then
Yeah, I'll be there in a few weeks.
yeah, we'll go over to one of our places and I'll show you around some of the stuff that we're doing and what we're
That'd be
working.
great.
John, Jay, thank you. And it's so awesome to see the connections being made just on this call alone. So that's exactly the point of this. We wanted to connect, you know, thought leaders in the space. So I know we ran a little bit over. Thank you everyone for joining. Jeff, do you have anything to say before we jump off?
Just happy to keep this going and have everybody stay connected, you know, virtually until we can get together in person. But if not, this is a way just to get connected, and we're all about diversity here and from all parts of the world. Expanding your user base and meeting investors is what we're about here. So
You did a great job, guys. Nice
you.
job organizing, and what a great team you have here. I mean, there's some great people that you brought on board today. So
Thank you. So we'll connect everyone in a private Slack channel afterwards. You know, we're all about connecting thought leaders and even the community listening to this. You know, one of the big things we always share is the wisdom of the crowds. And by putting the thought leaders and the movers and the shakers at the front of the room, you know, the community at large can, you know, get ahead faster, get those tips and insights that they couldn't. So thank you so much for joining, and thank you for your time and sharing it with us.
Okay. Thanks,
Thanks
guys.
for having me.
Thank you,
Thank
Ivy.
you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Jeff. Thanks all.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
On these Crowdcreate Masterminds, we bring these thought leaders to the front of the room to share their insights with you. We believe in the wisdom of the crowds. Every week, we come to you with a new episode to share these insights to help you get ahead.